You know, even years later, wrestling fans still talk about that chilling weekend in June 2007. The Chris Benoit tragedy didn't just shake the industry. It left a mark on anyone who followed pro wrestling. Do you remember where you were when the news broke?
I'll never forget that feeling. I was actually watching a pay-per-view rerun when the ticker suddenly flashed across the screen. At first, it just said Benoit and his family had died, and no one knew what was going on. The confusion was immediate. Social media was blowing up with speculation.
It's wild how quickly everything shifted from shock to suspicion. 1 minute, tributes were pouring in, and the next, people started asking hard questions. The timeline itself was confusing. 3 days between the deaths and Benoit's text messages to colleagues. It was almost surreal.
Right in those early hours, everyone was trying to piece things together. WWE aired a tribute show before the details came out, which later became controversial. That uncertainty made the revelation even more disturbing. This wasn't just a tragedy, but something far darker.
That actually brings up the timeline, which is still one of the most unsettling parts. The investigation found that Benoit killed his wife Nancy on Friday, their son Daniel on Saturday, and then himself on Sunday. The fact that these acts were spaced out over 3 days, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It's chilling, honestly. The authorities said he even sent odd text messages to a few colleagues, almost like subtle cries for help or attempts to communicate his state of mind. Some of the texts just gave his address, which confused everyone who received them.
And those internet searches he made are just haunting, looking up the quickest way to break a neck, even searching about the prophet Elijah. There's something so methodical, but also desperate, in the way he went about things.
It's almost as if he was oscillating between moments of total control and complete despair. Investigators found Bibles placed next to the bodies, which added another layer of confusion and speculation about his mindset. It really changed how people thought about him and about what might drive someone to such an act.
You're touching on something that still divides people. What actually caused this? There's the CTE angle. Later studies on Benoit's brain found severe damage, almost like that of an elderly Alzheimer's patient. But then there's talk of steroid use and mental health factors. How do you weigh those different factors?
It's complicated. The CTE evidence is damning, showing just how much repeated head trauma can impact behavior and judgment. But then you add in the cocktail of painkillers, steroids, and the relentless stress of wrestling 60-70 matches a year, constant travel. That's a recipe for disaster for anyone's mental health.
Absolutely, and the wrestling culture at the time didn't do much to support guys struggling behind the scenes. A lot of people were afraid to speak up, worried it would end their careers. Looking back, it's clear there was a perfect storm of risk factors.
You see, it echoed in other tragedies too. So many wrestlers of that era died young from various causes. The Benoit case forced both fans and the industry to confront those realities head-on, even if it was uncomfortable. It raised questions about what the sport asks of its stars and what's actually being done to protect them.
Funny you mention industry reckoning. After Benoit, WWE completely overhauled its wellness policy. Random drug testing, stricter regulations on concussions, and they even scrubbed Benoit's name from almost everything. Have those changes really made a difference? Or are they mostly for show?
There's been genuine progress, I think. We've seen fewer young deaths, at least compared to the late 90s and early 2000s. But some critics argue that there are loopholes, like how independent contractors might not get the same protections. Plus, erasing Benoit's name doesn't erase the trauma for the people who lived through it.
And for fans, it's still messy. Some feel like they lost one of the greatest wrestlers ever, while others can't even watch his old matches anymore without feeling sick. The ripple effect has lasted way beyond the headlines.
It's one of those moments that redefined how we see the line between performance and real life. For some, it's a reminder that we can't ignore the mental health toll of high-pressure jobs. For others, it's a painful lesson in how quickly public memory can shift when a hero falls. Either way, the Benoit tragedy changed wrestling forever.